Welcome to the Cool Fireman Podcast, a virtual firehouse kitchen table with What's a Rolfie, Unky, Fireman 1231,
East Coast Kellys,
JDB Cubed, and Fireman Freddy. Let's get to the show.
Oh, shit, you missed it.
I crank that up every time it's on TikTok, just
Richie?
for my wife.
Oh, I ain't saying I'm going to fuck your mama, but with this papaw rig here, all I'm saying is she better keep her ass at the bingo hall this weekend.
That is breaking the internet right now. I just want y'all to know that.
Dude, Richie is so funny. He says the most bizarre shit, and I don't think any of it's staged. I think it just comes off the top of his head that way.
No script intended, right?
No, he just spits it out randomly. It's so funny.
Nice.
I need to buy some of his hats. I'm a hat guy anyway, so.
Well,
Yeah, that. Go ahead.
not that I wasn't going to say anything. I was just going to say, welcome to the Cool Fireman Podcast, brought to you by Unky Seasoning
And
and Burn Box.
Burn box.
Yep.
specifically, Unkies.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, Doug, thanks for the shout out on the socials today.
You're welcome, sir. You are welcome.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you're not, I was going to say, if you're a subscriber to the Burn Box, Tom, the owner, had reached out to me right after our episode and asked me for a recipe. So I put one in there, and lo and behold, it's in the May Burn Box.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, how about that? huh?
I'm pretty stoked. I mean, I come rolling into one of the firehouses, and Adam had sent the shot, and literally I didn't realize anybody in my firehouses were subscribers. And the guy come up into my passenger side window, and he said, "Hey, you're famous." And I said, "No, I'm not." And he goes, "Man, you're in the Burn Box." Like, he's like, "You're not just on TikTok, you're in the Burn Box." And I was like, "Yeah, man, that's pretty cool, right?" And he said, "Yeah." I said, 2,200 people. Who would have thought a podcast could literally do something like that? That's pretty awesome. So super stoked. And that's one of the things that we're hoping to do with this sponsorship is keep the recipes and the content and the collaborations going. So we're stoked about that.
What did the recipe say? Was it like a recipe by Brian Kelly, East Coast Kellys? Like what?
East Coast Kellys. It was the East Coast Kellys. It was that taco mac and cheese. It was a quick and easy firehouse meal is what it was designed to be. So it was designed for the firefighter that could not cook. Literally, it's like box mac and cheese, some Rotel, some ground beef, and of course, some Chipotle seasoning from Unkies. You had to throw that in there.
So it's
That
perfect
sounds
for Doug.
amazing.
Yeah, it's money. It's money, dude.
It's
Isn't
money,
that what it
dude.
said? That fits Adam's hair tonight. If you haven't
does.
seen it.
He's the stale cracker.
Cookie Ray Bob is just feeling a little extra tonight.
I can't wait to get my Burn Box. I can't wait. That's such a great idea. I love that thing.
Yep, I'm stoked.
And
I can't wait.
I'm even more stoked that Tom's on board with the Cool Fireman Podcast.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
Since we're talking about social media, let me bring you guys abreast of something. I'll bring the audience in, rather. You guys already know about it because it's in the group chat. But so one of my lieutenants in my department reached out to me a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, whatever it was, and said, "Hey, man, how many followers you got on TikTok?" I was like, what do you mean? 17,000 or 18,000, whatever it is, 17,000. I said, "Why?" He said, "How many followers does Big City Doug have?" I said, 17,000. Why? He was like, "Only 17,000. He said, "I'll let you know next Tuesday." That was yesterday, the Tuesday he was referencing. And I said, "Dude, you gotta give me more than that." He said, I'm putting together a presentation for my captain's assessment because we just did our captain's test. And I'll let you know more after the fact. So the list came out today because, again, it was yesterday. The guys knew yesterday evening, but the list came out today and he made top 5. And for that, we do our top 5 randomly and everybody else is ranked numerically. And once you make it into the top 5, obviously when somebody promotes, you move up one spot. Once you make it into the top 5, you're promotable, right? So he could theoretically be the first or he could be the 5th or he could not get promoted at all. But potentially he could be the first promotion. He said, "Dude," I mentioned Big City Doug in my captain's assessment. I said, "No, the hell you didn't." He said, "Yes, I did." I said, "Dude, you got to give me more than that." So he told me to call another guy, and I called the other guy, and he was like, "Yeah." He said, I had heard you were called Big City Doug because I listened to the podcast one time, but and this was a battalion chief. He said, "But yeah, I didn't expect it to come up in the captain's assessment." So anyway, they had to do a oral presentation and, whatever. He did some research on their topic was, something about recruitment and how do we recruit a certain demographic, of person. And long story short, he put all these figures together of how we as social media, not only TikTok, but Instagram, Facebook, the Reels, all this social media ads, you guys know them, is beneficial and can be used for much good stuff. He said he's got matter of fact, what he said was he's got 17,000 and he's only making jokes. So imagine if he really applied himself and did things like, cause I told him, I said, dude, I don't do a lot of stuff on TikTok for fear of, not I don't want to say retaliation, but disciplinary issues from, look, we don't do that on social media.
Right.
Because we've never done that. But I think, and what I told this battalion chief that I had this talk with was, I think we need to look at potentially loosening that stuff up and appealing to that demographic. Obviously, we're hiring the younger generation now. How do they interact? They interact through social media.
Yeah.
I said, dude, there's influencers and content creators that, that's their full-time job. That's all they do is push it on social media and make 6 figures a year. And they don't leave their house.
Multiple 6 figures.
Yeah. I said, dude, this guy's making 7 figures. It's a thing. And we need to embrace that. So anyway, long story short, Big City Doug came up in a Chesterfield Fire and EMS captain's assessment. And that's pretty damn funny to me.
But can I tag kind of onto that about something happened this week with social media?
Absolutely.
So I was scrolling through TikTok, and a lot of times I love doing it just for keeping my algorithm fresh on the cooking content, the fire content, stuff like that. And one of the things that I came across on the fire content side of things was a group of firefighters actually in Virginia. I didn't see where they were from in Virginia. I wish I could have remembered that. But they were doing that little trend, where people jump over the camera and they're supposed to be like going
and
somewhere.
It takes them to another place. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm sure you've probably seen a couple of firefighters who are like, they pretend to leave the firehouse and they're either at the firehouse or they pretend to leave home and they end up at the firehouse.
I haven't seen one of those yet.
Okay. Well, I've seen
I've seen the trend, but not that one. Sorry.
So I've seen a couple of those, but this one in particular was a group of young firefighters. You could tell they were probably like 18, 19, and it was probably at a volley house, but they jumped out of their plain clothes into turnout gear. And I got to tell you, when they went plain clothes into turnout gear, they were just as excited. And that reel had way more than the firefighter who was complaining about not being able to leave the firehouse.
Yes.
And what I saw was, and I made a comment, and that video proportionally, it had the most likes on my comment because I got, you get notifications on TikTok or whatever, and I was like, oh, I wonder how many that got. But what I said was, from a guy who's 25 years on the job, please never lose that excitement and always stay passionate about getting in your gear. And that was the thing that it showcased, was literally these guys are excited to come and do work. And a caveat to one of our last podcasts about volunteerism, these people are excited about doing it for free. So imagine if you could pay them. If you could pay them to do that and hype it up, the platform, that would be awesome. And I was even having a conversation today just about recruitment to somebody, because we have some local high school programs here in North Carolina. And I was at a statewide meeting, and what we were talking about is, unfortunately, for a lot of the high school programs, counselors are putting some of the troubled kids in these programs and not letting and pause on that for a second. But it's not allowing the kids that really want to be there and need to be there and prepared for the fire service the attention that they need and deserve. So what I'm hearing on a statewide level is that, hey, these classes, I'm spending a lot of times disciplining kids. So they're putting them in a trades class that is good. So let's go back to that thought process. It's good, but they're really not prepared for that. They needed like an intro class, like a boot camp, to reset them before they came into the fire service, because these kids are here and they're having to be brought back. But social media can be that circle back, like you were talking about, Doug, that can keep these kids energized and excited and connected.
Yeah. Something else I told him was fear of, again, fear is not the right word, but not wanting to use any department branding for fear of somebody saying, oh, he works for so-and-so. Like, I've had it happen to me. I think I told y'all this once before in one of our earlier podcasts. that I did tell y'all that. We talked about it on the podcast where I said, grow up, Peter Pan, Count Chocula. And somebody reported me to HR for being racist.
Yeah, I remember that.
That line came from, we talked about all that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you know what? You're going to have that. And that's just look, we've got to look at this thing from a total approach. Unky, your mullet is just taking me back right now. Yeah, I can't speak right now. You got to look at the whole thing. Look, take things for face value. Don't assume the worst, and understand that it's okay to like your job. It's okay to want to go to work. It's okay to hype your job and show people how fun it can be. Is it serious? Absolutely. Nobody in the world will look at a firefighter and say their job's crap. They don't do anything. Nobody with a brain in their head.
Yeah.
But you've got to understand that we are people behind the heroes, behind those lifesavers, whatever, all that seriousness. When the bell's not going off, we got 24 hours, 30, 48, sometimes 72 hours to fill. It's okay to laugh. It's okay to be comical. If they knew half the stuff that we talked about and did, now granted, I'm not saying take it to the vulgar level, but, like Fireman Lance is a great one. It's so funny. Great stuff all the time. Like, what's wrong with that? There's nothing wrong with it. And it's okay to show your department doing that, because if I want to recruit we'll call it the 20 to 25 demographic, hypothetically, I want to show them that, I can go to work and goof off, like when I'm not doing anything, like I can have a good time. We don't have to do busy work all day long and just nonsense work just to stay busy. It's okay to have some camaraderie and laugh and have a good time.
I saw this video on, I guess, Instagram earlier. I should have saved it. It was talking about the fire department. It was saying, we're not the military. This ain't Backdraft. This ain't Ladder 49.
I've seen that one.
Yeah. It's like, we all run medical calls and stuff like that. I mean, yeah, it's not like that. This is definitely not Chicago Fire, Station 51.
I'm glad you said that. When I was coming home this morning, I heard Chicago Fire, Med, and something else. Their season premiere or finale is tonight or whatever. But those, it was 3 shows, reality shows, or whatever you call them. They're not reality. What are they? Fiction? What? I don't know.
Sitcoms.
Whatever. Dramas. 3 shows about Chicago in the public safety sector, essentially, because one of them's the ER. But we need to break that. We need to let the human population know that life is not like that. None of us go to work and do that. It's not a thing.
And it's definitely not those 911 shows with Rob Lowe.
Right.
I love Rob Lowe, but
yeah,
that is
like that.
The worst fire show I've seen.
Right. We need to let the public know that is not what we do. It's okay to show them the reality of what we do. It will give them a better understanding of, you know what, maybe I shouldn't call 911 right now because my knee hurts. I probably shouldn't call 911 for that. They don't do that.
There's a reason why we don't have a reality show. There was one for a hot minute, and I realized, it's boring. Nobody wants to see a bunch of guys eating ice cream in the chair. Is that right, former engineer?
And the reality is we can't really show them what we do, but we can tell them in general terms what we do.
So South Metro in Colorado, I'm going to give them a shout out. They have a phenomenal.
Where is it? What city is that out of in Colorado?
It's just Colorado. It's South Metro. You need to go to their YouTube if that's what you're looking for.
Metro.
Yeah, South Metro out of Colorado. They have a phenomenal YouTube, day in the life of. They're a larger department. And they really showcase a lot of the realness of it. They say, hey, this is how we do truck checks. This is how we, go train. This is everything else. I think.
Oh, that's actually the name of the city, South Metro? It looks like it.
Yeah.
Oh, so it's outside of Centennial.
Okay. Sure. I just know it as South Metro, Colorado.
Oh, wait. No. I'm sorry. There's South Metro at every. Carry on.
Okay. So maybe we can put it in the show notes for those. Okay. So what I was getting at was there is the bookends of this of where it's good to show the realness, but there are those, just like everything in society, who are going to complain. And unfortunately, those few that complain catch the ear of the people above the decision makers in the organization. And I'm not saying that's fair. Facts aren't fair. I say that staying all the time right on the podcast. And unfortunately, that's the balance of trying to get it. And what I'm using South Metro Colorado as as an example is because they do a really good job of that balance, right? Of showing how they as an organization do things on a regular basis and at the same time show the realness. So that way the people that are always going to complain, there's always going to be complainers. They can't complain because it shows the realness, if that makes sense. I mean, the reality of it is, I think what you're saying is spot on. You need to show the realness. You need to show an environment that is inviting to recruit and retain. The other part of it, though, is you for the taxpayer that comes up to a city council meeting and says, hey, I saw on Instagram that those guys were sitting around in the chair not doing their job. Nobody wants to have to answer that question. The reality of it, and that's what stops people from having that flexibility to show that. The humanistic. Now, I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying that's the why.
Let's not let the taxpayers who pay our salary know that, oh my God, 8 hours out of the day, we're sitting on our butts. Well, okay.
Right.
What's wrong with that?
For the readiness piece of that, you are ready to roll. Right.
You need me at peak performance when you call me at 1 a.m. because whatever's happening, you need the best of what I got. You don't need me at 80%. You want me at 110.
And I guarantee, and this is what I have relayed a couple of times to folks who question social media policies as a whole, is for that realistic aspect of sitting around, what you could be saying is firefighters, even in their downtime, spend time strategizing, because I guarantee you're talking smack about another call that's happening.
Absolutely.
And the training officer probably goes, hey, did you put that in for training? Because y'all just spent 45 minutes critiquing that fire call across town. No, you didn't? Okay, well, go do
Damn it, Unky.
What did he write down?
He held up the Crackle magazine with Dennis Leary on it.
Oh, okay.
You're absolutely right, Brian, because in that downtime, it's not downtime. You're talking about the job. You're talking about this call, that call. You're always talking about work.
You're drilling the engineer about driver questions or whatever.
I got quizzed yesterday for 30 minutes about truck ops and truck equipment and things like that by my captain while we were having downtime.
Dinner or whatever.
Yeah, right after. Right. We're not running the call. We technically don't have anything to do. But what are we doing? We're talking about equipment on the truck. We're talking about things.
And I would dare say for 90% of the people that work in an office environment, okay, and I'm saying this as a guy who works days, the firehouse, because I've been there, done that, lived it, that downtime is way more focused on the job than coffee talk on a hallway.
Hell yes.
Right? I can tell you I know it, because what the personal moments that you have sitting outside the firehouse smoking a cigarette or whatever at 9 o'clock at night or whatever is usually more for the mental health aspect of it. Hey, how's things going on at home? Right? Your kid doing good in baseball? It helps you mentally check some boxes to say, I am okay to be here in this moment. And even that is for the well-being. It is not truly downtime. And that's what I'm trying to maybe emphasize in all this. We say it's downtime, but it's really not downtime.
And it's not just your firehouse. When you're all day long. Did y'all just see something come up on the screen?
Nope.
It's just me. All day long, the lady in the ceiling is talking.
It's a stroke, Doug.
Man, you need to stop microdosing mushrooms, dude.
Never taking a mushroom.
Never taking a mushroom. Tastes like snozberry.
Never plan to take a mushroom. No thanks. But all day long, the lady in the ceiling is talking about dispatch. She's dispatching somebody to so-and-so, somebody to so-and-so. And I say the lady,
right.
We have a computerized dispatch system, so it's a computer voice. We call her Samantha. But she's always dispatching somebody to something. We're not just talking about our stuff. We're talking about, what's that about? So you pull up that call, you look at the details of it, you start talking about that call. Like it's not just what's going on at your fire station. I meant to say this 15 minutes ago, but I saw a video the other day of come along with me as I get ready for my day at the firehouse.
Yep.
And it was this young lady getting ready to start her 72-hour shift.
Saw it.
Did you? Yeah.
Yep.
And she drops her stuff in her bunk room and she goes out and checks the rig and then she talks about how she's setting up her room and
saw it.
It's okay to do that. In my opinion. Now, granted, until my department changes and which may come thanks to a certain lieutenant who tested in the top 5, maybe it'll come. And that's great. Do I want to be that guy? Not necessarily, but if they ask me to do it, sure, man, I'll talk about it. I mean, I don't mind.
I do think it's the old school mentality, fear of the questions that will be asked and not having the answer.
And again, my department, we have a great tax base, and we have a really good. I think I talked about this last episode with the board of directors, board of supervisors. Dr. Casey and my fire chief have a great relationship with my fire chief had a great relationship with the board, who had obviously the taxpayers answer to the taxpayers, and it works. We don't want to step on any toes there, but at some point, does it come to that head of, look, this is what we're going to do, and to take care of those people who need to come to see you at 1 a.m. when you're having potentially the worst day of your life, we need to treat them this way. And you can't micromanage that as a taxpayer. You can't micromanage how that's going to happen.
Right.
Does that make sense?
No, it makes perfect good sense. So on that note, I got a question for you. So what would be the one thing that you would want to, and I want everybody to answer this, what would be the one thing that if you could showcase on your own personal social media, and I'm going to put LinkedIn over here in the basket for a second, because I think that is a different professional platform. I use it for my consulting company. I use it for my gig, but for the firefighter, that's not a realistic platform.
No.
Right? It's not where people are. So if you could go on Instagram for your department and they said, Doug, what's the one thing that you can be in charge of making this content? What would it be?
Just showing the day-to-day things, just random stuff around the firehouse, the goofing off, the jokes that are made, the way we do things, how casual it is, how non-militaristic it is.
Okay.
Matt did one similar the other day with that new nozzle they got, like something like that. It's so trivial, but that shows how you guys were goofing off about a freaking nozzle that got replaced in the kitchen, right? And it was a funny moment.
Yeah, I was.
What's wrong with that? Right? Yeah, what's wrong with that? Nothing.
Nothing.
But I personally am apprehensive to do that because of my current policy and procedure.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to show too much. And you know what I mean? Like, people obviously know where I work. I've posted some of our apparatus before, and I've yet to have anybody say anything to me other than the Count Chocula incident, which was completely asinine. But, you know,
let's be honest. You
also have to trust that those people are not going to be stupid. And if they are, deal with them. Don't deal with the populace. Deal with that person.
There's a lot.
Go ahead, Matt.
There's a lot of facets that we're talking about here. I've stayed quiet and listened to you two talk about it, and it's all awesome, you know. And I have a few different viewpoints. All of us on the podcast, we use social media to our advantage. You know, like we're able to show our creativeness. We're obviously creative people. And that's what I tell people at work, you know, that say, oh, you're so goofy. And I'm like, yeah, it just gives me a creative outlet. You know, I've got this awesome community that I've gained on TikTok and social media that I wouldn't give up for the world. Like, I've gained great friends. I mean, look, I met all you goons a couple of years ago, and we talk every single day. But we're in it, right? Like, let's just say we're ground zero, if you will. Now let's step back into like a supervisor's role. You know, the chiefs, the people that have to answer the political questions, you know, about what we're doing, from the community, from council, from the partners of the city, whatever. And the stigma, there's still a stigma with social media. And so even the guys we work with, right, that are some of your best friends,
especially TikTok.
Right. Because it's a lot of TikTok was kind of started, right, with a lot of goofy stuff, trends.
It spawned from Musical.ly, which was a music and dancing thing.
Right. A lot of kids dancing to each other with each other. And that's how it started. And now it's transformed into news, political,
QVC.
Commercials.
QVC.
QVC, yes.
I wish that TikTok, that's the worst part of TikTok for me.
Yes.
It's turned into one big ad. And now that I've gotten into this TikTok shop, just for fun. My whole feed is just, buy this, buy that, buy this, buy that. I'm like, oh, it's so terrible. But like I do what you do, Brian, is just kind of start liking and commenting on the things
Yep.
that I want to see.
Changes your algorithm.
And it changes the algorithm. So I start seeing the stuff that I want. But going back to this, it's just a stigma. And go back, 5 to 10 years ago, we started our Instagram page for the department, and really wasn't for the department. It was for our association. And so we weren't really to show like department level stuff because of that. They just didn't want to answer questions. There was guys that didn't want to be on camera. They said, do not show my face. We had one guy that's taken upon himself to put up like, hey, happy birthday to engineer so-and-so. And the guy, he got in trouble for doing that because the guy's like, I don't want to be on social media. And it wasn't coming from the chiefs. It was coming from particular firefighter members just saying, I don't want to be online. And so you kind of you have that hurdle, not to mention doing everything that you guys are saying to do a day in a life video. I mean, it's hard enough to take a quality picture or video of training. And then come up with a post to write about what we're doing. And that's a lot of work to do that, to post that kind of stuff. I mean, I was just thinking today, I was thinking today, everything that we do in our fire department, we're running calls. We have to do inspections. We're doing target solutions training. We just had RT 130. All of our captains are in charge of target hazard training every month. Each captain has a different target hazard that we're doing. We have live fire coming up in July. We're all working overtime. We have wildland season coming up. I mean, there is a ton of stuff. And so to commit ourselves to something like what you're talking about, it's a lot of work.
But I think it's a lot of work, but I think it goes back to the return on investment. I mean, during COVID, we didn't do station visits. And so I'll put my fire marshal hat on here for a second. We did story times and we had the firefighters read books, and man, it crushed the views because teachers were taking and linking those videos. And in actuality, we had more views than we did an average year of station visits. And so our actual contact numbers went through the roof because those same teachers shared it. And so we were getting views from other people than our own community. So flip the other side of that. If you're trying to recruit, a certain demographic, or like you said, showcasing what you do, you have to always ask yourself when that question gets asked of you at that chief level is that worth your time? I think the answer is yes. You just have to be able to prepare yourself on how you're going to tell that story, how you're going to answer that question. That's all.
What was your question? What was your question before?
Well, my question was if you could showcase any one thing, and that's what I was going to ask you. What would you showcase, Matt? Like, I know Doug said the day in the life of and the casualness, but like,
I have a good answer.
Yeah. What would you show?
What I would showcase that's extremely important is we have people, we'll go on calls and they'll say, oh my God, you brought the whole fire department. And there's, because we have 3O staff. So sometimes if a PAU gets there first, there'll be 6 firefighters and 2 ambulance operators. So now you got 8 people there for a little old lady that, maybe it just skinned her arm. And my answer is, we come prepared for anything. If we had to do CPR on you, we all have our own, tasks to do, and we do it very efficiently. And that's how we do our job the best.
Prepare for the worst and hope for the best.
Answer those types of questions. And how many times have you gotten a question at the grocery store? Hey, does the city pay for your guys' meal? Like, you could do a whole video just on like, hey, stuff around the station, our association, we put in association dues. That pays all of our internet. We pay for our own TVs. We pay for, a lot of our own stuff at the firehouse. The city pays for staple stuff like cups and plates and paper towels and all that kind of stuff. But people don't know what we do.
People don't know you sleep in the firehouse. They were there for 24 hours.
Perfect.
I think we're 8-hour shifts.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it makes it a little difficult because all 4 of us have a different schedule. And so knowing a firefighter schedule, people just don't understand that. A lot of people think, so you're at the firehouse for a few days, right? And then you come home for a few days. I just got my haircut today, and that's what the barber said. He's like, hey, how's work going? Oh, it's going good. Like, well, you're there for a few days, right? I'm like, well, no, I work 24-hour shifts and I'm off 24. And then, we do that 4 days and then I'm off for 4. And he's just like, what? Okay. You know, like, wow, I didn't know that. So I would answer questions through social media, and through information on like we've been talking about what we do all day, what we do every day. I mean, but those like standard questions that we get all the time about, you know, who pays for your dinner? No, we pay for our dinner. We just split it up, you know, because sometimes I'll feel bad, you know, if we're going to like, hey, the steaks are on sale. We're walking out with steaks. People think the city's pay, you know, they're paying for that. You know, like, no, we split it up, you know? So
Or
that's
everybody
what,
thinks
that's
you're
what,
having Firehouse chili every night.
yeah, right.
I
So-
get that. I'll get asked that at the grocery store. What's for dinner tonight? Firehouse chili?
Like, no, we're tired of that.
Yeah.
So what about you, Unky? What would be the thing, which I know DoD is totally different realm. So let's just say endless possibilities. You could show whatever you wanted.
Our operations, because we to be different than you city and volunteer gentlemen. We deal with airplanes, ships. I mean, that's pretty cool stuff. It really is.
Yeah.
Us actually doing stuff out with them and training on them, or even like a crash for an airplane, or a ship fire, showing that stuff. But I mean, we're lucky. They are rare, but they do happen. The plane crashes and ship fires and stuff. So when it happens, I mean, it's a big ordeal, and it's fun. It's a lot of work, and it's hot, but it's fun, because that's one thing we can say on the federal side. We can raise our hand and be like, this is where we are different than everybody else.
Yeah.
Just to piggyback off that for our, like what Anki's talking about, you're talking about like, you know, big incidences where we're using commands, like incident command systems, divisions branched it off. I mean, we all have positions, and even on like a car accident, right? We have let's say we have a 3-vehicle car accident. We've got 7 patients. We're going to declare that a multi-casualty incident, or MCI. That goes into a whole nother realm where we even have different protocols. You know, we can split up our medics. In our county, we're allowed to go single medic escort in that case. So we don't need so many rigs there. And so just like, you know, operations to show people how we kind of break up a large incident and how we manage it, and organize ourselves so that we can be efficient and, you know, take care of an emergency the fastest way possible. So that'd be kind of cool, you know, to show people that. I mean, it's kind of getting into the weeds. But one other thing I was going to say was, you know, sometimes I'll jump into Nick's comments because, you know, he's got 1 million followers. And so he gets a lot of comments on all of his videos. And so one of the most sought after questions in his videos are, so what do y'all do if you get a call while you're cooking?
Yes.
You know what I mean? And it's just like things like that. You know, and you know, he said, oh, we turn all the burners off, take the meat off the grill, and then we try to reheat it when we get back. And it is what it is, you know, as long
Or
as
if it's a long call, we throw it away.
we throw it away and we go out to eat. Yeah, absolutely. Done that a few times. So yeah, we'll, you know, sometimes we'll buy dinner at, you know, whatever in the morning, we'll shop, and then we'll just run calls, and we'll just save that in the refrigerator till the next shift, because we'll just end up having to go
pizza.
out.
Yeah, pick up pizza or something on the way back in. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, do you, because I know you're in a small town, small department, do y'all actually go out to restaurants and like even sit down?
No, we used to. And I don't want to say that COVID changed that. I think it was more of a cultural change. It was more of it's kind of been, what is it? I don't know. I mean, you know, when I first got hired, there was a time when we would go out to sushi, and we would go there was a nice sushi restaurant. We'd sit down, and if a call went out, we'd go out and run the call, come back and finish. But we don't do that as much anymore. We'll do Taco Tuesday. We have an El Ranchito restaurant that does a good Taco Tuesday, $3 tacos. And so we'll go sit on the patio and be there for 45 minutes to an hour and then bug out. But other than that, we don't.
I think that's great. When I was with the city, we did that. My house was it was Station 15. That area was being built up. I mean, we had a couple of restaurants, grocery stores, but I mean, it's really booming in that area. So we got a Mexican restaurant, all kinds of different, you know, flavors, and we would go out every once in a while at least once a cycle, we would go out, and it's great PR. So like
Yeah.
if headquarters is kind of like a little iffy about it, be like, hey, we're out in the public eye. We're not doing nothing wrong. We're
Right.
just enjoying a meal. The staff knows us. They understand if we have to get up and go, they hold our table, hold our food. If they're busy, they'll put it to the side.
Yeah.
So I always love it. Doug, do y'all go out
Yeah, we have
and sit down?
Yeah, well, we try to. It's not very often, but we will. But what we'll do, the biggest thing of what we do is where my district is, there's 3 or 4 districts there that come together at a relatively close to a cookout and a Sonic. And
Perfect.
sometimes we'll meet there in the evenings for,
Milkshakes.
You're right, Route 44s or milkshakes or whatever, you know what I mean? Like we'll come and, like I said, there'll be 5 or 6 apparatus parked. And
Just hanging out in the parking lot.
Hanging out at Sonic and everybody.
high school
That's
kids.
awesome.
Yeah,
That's
like
awesome.
everybody-
I love it.
Everybody's
I love it.
still within, close enough to their district. Now, granted, you'll tell your battalion chief beforehand, hey, man, we're going to hang out for a little bit, but we're all still relatively close enough to our district. And some of us obviously in the district where we're still not delaying response time. But again, like you said, it's good PR. They see they'll see a group of, 20, 25 sometimes firefighters hanging out and just enjoying ice cream at supper time or after supper time, in the evening.
I bet you if you got toned out for a call sitting there at that Sonic, you'd have a better turnout than at your firehouse because you don't want the other crews talking smack about how long it took you to get on the truck.
Dead heat race to get the first out of the parking lot.
Yes, that's why I said. I mean, that's awesome. I think it's fantastic. We went
Get a
out
good
to lunch.
engineer to park right, and so he inches out to block everybody in as we're waiting for that last person.
That's
to get
right.
Out.
We went out to lunch today, and my department we wear badge shirts, and our uniform is the exact same.
Everybody?
Color. Everybody.
Oh,
So, but
sorry.
ours is the exact same color as PD. So the patches even look the same.
Ugh.
So, but we're not wearing a duty belt. So we go today, my division, we try to eat lunch out once a week. We have a working staff meeting, and my guys like it because we can sit around and talk and discuss stuff. And 90% of the time, those guys are the ones who bring it up. I like today, they brought their tablets and stuff in because they knew that's usually what Chief wants. He's going to ask some questions about stuff. Today, I didn't even bring mine. I just was like, hey, just tell me what's going on. What's happening with things. But anyways, the lady, talk about the perspective. The lady in the restaurant was like, oh, school's getting out soon, or, are y'all excited? And she thought we were SROs. Like, legit. That's what she thought. And so when you talk about the PR side of it, that's the only thing I wish we could do is make sure that we were, like when our guys go out to eat at the stations, they're allowed to wear their C's. We call them C's, their T-shirts, and their pants or their shorts or whatever. And so for us, we're in badge shirts because we're out doing official business in the fire marshal's office. So it's not like you're going to strip down in just to walk into a restaurant. You just keep your badge shirt on. But I think, Doug, you sent something that was spot on, and Adam, you said something that was spot on. I mean, those moments together as a crew is huge. We get daily reports in our organization, and so a lot of times we'll see Saturdays and Sundays where they will do a big shift breakfast where like 2 or 3 out of the stations will come together, or on a holiday or somebody's birthday or for a promotion. I mean, they'll do like a seafood boil or something like that, and I'm like, that's fantastic. Like,
Yeah, and again, back where that
we
location,
should be showing that. We should be
Right.
showing that on social media.
yes, where that location is essentially what you have. If all those units come and meet up at Sonic, for instance, you've basically got a first alarm assignment right there.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
working
it's-
fires on the
so-
other side of the city.
Well, no, but I mean, you're talking about the people you're working with, like.
Yeah.
Yeah, those people, when you go to that first alarm assignment, like that's the guy or gal that's could potentially be coming in the building right behind you. So it's just building promoting that work ethic. I mentioned Kenny. Yeah, I mentioned Kenny earlier. Y'all obviously know Kenny Mitchell. Kenny used to be our PIO, and he was big on the social media thing. And obviously, as he is now, like he was. I don't want to say ahead of the curve, but like he was one of the early guys to say he was on my team of, look, man, we need to be using this to our advantage. And he was big on it. He kept telling me that every time he'd bring it up, it was like, nope, we're not doing it. We're not doing it. We're not doing it. So will it change? I don't know.
I think, I think
eventually, maybe I don't know if it'll be in my career, but I hope.
Well, one of the things that Matt hit on that I think is so crucial is, the fear of the questions that are asked. And we talked about that a little while ago. But I think what the biggest thing is, it's like a squirrel. Once that squirrel is out, you don't know where it's going to go. Right. And so it's not just the questions of the bean counters. It's the questions of the perception. I was watching. I think
that's the word. That's the word. Perception.
Right. It is the perception. Yeah, it's the perception of it. So
Joe taxpayer and his perception of what I'm putting out. I say
right, the department.
Loosely. Right. I am attached as, he works for Chesterfield, so he's speaking for Chesterfield. That's not the case.
Sure. And that's what I'm getting at is once that squirrel is out, it's so hard to control. And so it can be saved, copied, shared. I mean, you can get the Daily Dispatch in your inbox every day. I don't know if y'all get that or not. It's kind of like the Firewire across. So
we have our battalion chiefs rotated through the 4 battalions. We have a daily business plan that comes out.
There you go. So there's that, and then there is the news brief that's for the state, and at the bottom there's the kind of the national fire ticker.
Right. And so and all that shit's added in our business plan.
Yeah. And so then on top of that, you've got the folks on social media in the fire service who are armchair quarterbacking. So I saw a clip from Chief Miller. Y'all have probably all seen him on social media. He downloads content, shares it.
He's a federal guy, by the way.
Okay. Well, good. So that's his way of kind of content creation. He's basically getting permission to put it out there, or in some cases not. And then he just lets the anthills, our own worst enemies is ourselves, right? Our own profession. So then it comes, and these same chief officers are seeing the anthills attacking the other ants, and they're like, whoa. I'm not worried about Joe, the taxpayer's perception. I'm worried about another fire department and what they're going to comment on, because there's no, I don't want to say retaliation, but there's no accountability for their comment. And so that's the problem.
That's not our issue. Right?
No, it's not. I'm not saying it is.
No. I'm just saying it goes back to the control of the controllables. I can't control Colorado Springs Fire Department. If they want to comment on my TikTok as their official or whatever, or even one of their firefighters, doesn't matter. I can't control that. All I can control is what I post and how I respond to that. I say me loosely again.
Matt, can I use your C word for today? Can I use it?
Please.
So the fire service has created
Is it more than 4 letters?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
So the fire service as a whole has created this sense of culture to where we'd rather sit in the back of the room and say nothing and wait for the guy at the front to make a fool of himself. That's what we've done.
It's better to be silent and thoughtful than open your mouth. Yep.
So the fire chief says, you know what, I'm going to let everybody else put out there. And I'm really proud of you guys. In fact, here's an ice cream. Here's a pizza. Here's all this other stuff. Well, chief, we want to put it out there. Well, I don't know about that. Why? Because it's better for us to sit at the back of the room and be quiet. Tell your friends, but don't tell your friends online. Right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I think that's the issue, is because he knows, and I've said it a couple times here on the podcast, he can budget for a fire station, a whole new set of air packs and everything, but he cannot take that on social media out. And again, I'm not saying it's right, wrong, and different, but it goes back to kind of what Matt was saying about investing the time in it. If you invest the time in it and you craft it, don't be in a hurry to put it out there, right? Craft it, be prepared for what it could be, right? And then put it out there. Because if you slow down and put the right message out there, what is there to critique, right? But if you go out there and you're goofing around and they're on charged hose line, nobody's wearing their helmets, nobody's wearing their gloves, you better be prepared for the Billy Bob firefighter comments. But you're just having a good time, right? And that's what we want to show. So, but if you slow down, make sure everybody in the picture has their helmet on, make sure everybody in the picture has their gloves on, you're good. If you take the picture at Sonic of the whole crew sitting around eating ice cream, and you take the time to say, not only is this a team building exercise, but we're discussing strategies and tactics as a first due in our own district while enjoying ice cream together. Again, what is there to dispute there? Yeah. We just have to slow down in what we're putting out there. And I think in that moment, it helps make sure that everybody, including the haters, the fellow firefighter haters, as I got a thumbs up, it's just kind of blurred, but the fellow firefighters that are haters, as well as the Joe taxpayers that are haters, it shuts them up. It shuts them up. Speaking of shutting up, I'm shutting up.
Oh, you're doing just fine. You're doing just fine.
Speaking of just fine, I got some ribs in there. I need to go eat. I made some country style pork ribs tonight on the smoker, and I'm just ready to go stick my face in them.
I think that's a good point. I would ask that maybe just to engage our listeners, let's drop a comment and ask them the same question that I asked you guys. If you could showcase on one thing on your department, what would it be? So drop a comment. Let us know. Let us know what is the one thing. And if you do it well on your organization, tag us in a video. We'd love to share that on our Instagram, the Cool Fireman Podcast. We'd love to share that on our socials, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and kind of show how you guys do it awesome. So
I guarantee you we get a comment that we're like, oh, wow, I didn't think about that. You know, and back to what my chief said a couple of weeks ago during my succession planning with the fire chief is like, you know, things like this podcast where we're talking about it and we're creating the discussion. It's only gonna help move this progression along and get a lot more people to start talking about it as well. So that's the good thing.
Yeah.
And if you do a day in the life of a firefighter video, tag us in it. We want to see it. And one little key advice: make sure your socks do not have holes in them.
And you have unclean underwear?
Doug, don't you get it? Remember it? Nick did a video.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Nick did a video and it was him getting ready for work and everything. And the only thing that Doug could pull out was, well, with that money you're making, you can't have a pair of socks.
We don't pay you enough to have some damn socks without holes in them. Yeah, I do remember that. Hey, funny note on speaking about socks with holes in them. I heard on the radio today, they was interviewing the old Mr. Jelly Roll, Mr. Roll, if you will. He said his only indulgence with all of his money and fame and whatever it is, he never wears a pair of socks twice.
Really?
That's what I'm talking about.
There was a story that he never wears a t-shirt, underwear, or socks. But the news this morning, or the radio this morning, said that I never wear a pair of socks twice.
Now that's luxury, my friend.
I mean, what's that? Luxury. That's less than $1,000 a year for a
living.
Rich guy. You know what I mean? That's
living.
Either way,
living.
All right,
y'all. I think that was good. I think it was some good conversation.
That's good stuff, man. That's good stuff.
All right, be sure to like, subscribe, Cool Fireman Podcast. Get you a burn box and some Unky seasoning.
Damn right. Get you some of that Unkies and get you one of them burn boxes. Hey, Unky, what's that hat say back there? Make something. I can't make it.
Brisket.
Make brisket
cheap again. I love it.
Yeah. In this month of the Burn Box, the Crackle magazine with Dennis Leary, as I was flipping through it while y'all in your rants, a lot of mental awareness, man. It talks about emotional vampires. Dude, emotional vampires, fire tattoos, they're more than skin deep, pearls of mortality. I mean, a lot of great mental health awareness stuff, man. I'm going to put this in the bathroom right now so I can read it.
Okay.
I like
With
it.
that, what's the line?
Roll it, GG.
Roll it, GG.
Roll it, GG.
Before you leave, hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and give these firemen a huge thumbs up. Also, make sure you check out thecoolfireman.com for more. Thanks!